Hello! Some of you may remember that in January I reviewed a 1949 French film directed by Jean-Pierre Melville titled Le Silence de la Mer. At the end of that video, I mentioned that there was another version, a French-Belgian production made for TV in 2004. Well, lo and behold, today I'm going to review it. Le Silence de la Mer, or The Silence of the Sea, was a story written under the name Vercors during World War II and secretly distributed among the French to encourage passive resistance against the Germans who occupied the country. In the story, an old man and his niece are forced to house a Nazi officer. This officer, von Ebernack, turns out to be courteous, respectful, and well-versed in their French culture. But though every night he visits them and captures their attention with his eloquent speeches, they are determined not to speak or acknowledge his presence. I really liked the '49 movie, but I was also curious to see this newer version as I'd heard good things about it. As it turns out, they're completely different animals. While the 1949 version focused solely on the interactions between the three inhabitants of the house, the 2004 version expands the material by adapting not one, but two Vercors stories, The Silence of the Sea and This Day, and combining them into one larger narrative. Instead of just the one house, we see pieces of an entire restless community dealing with rationing, Nazi propaganda, etc. The thread that binds these two stories together is the girl. I'll call her Jean, even though that's not the correct French pronunciation, played by Julie Delarme. Unlike the original 1949 version, and the original story too, I think, in which the old man narrates the story retrospectively, here it is the girl who takes center stage as the protagonist and the emotional crux of the film. Instead of his niece, she is his orphaned granddaughter, an independent girl who teaches piano lessons, manages the household, and runs all the errands. She's strong, yet she's vulnerable, still mourning her dead mother and keeping her room fresh with flowers, a fact that, when the Germans claim that room for their officer, only breeds additional resentment. Delarme's performance is full of feeling, which makes the story more personal as we can identify with her as she struggles with the inner turmoil of anger, hatred, fear, indecision, and attraction. That's the other major difference. This one's got more romance. The earlier version had one or two subtle, wistful hints of an attraction, certainly on one side, but maybe not reciprocated. Here those suggestions are developed into a doomed romance between two people who know they're drawn to each other, but who also know that because of circumstances and their own strong values, a relationship cannot materialize. The actor playing Captain von Ebernack, Thomas Jouannet, is, well, for starters, he's very good looking. But like Delarme, he's also got an expressive, sensitive face. He's well-spoken, polite, a gentleman, a fellow pianist and music enthusiast. In contrast with some of the other men we see, German and French alike, he is superior. Jean notices his worthy qualities, which only makes things more complicated as she becomes aware of her own feelings, yet she's determined to stay committed to her oath of silence. As I think I said in my other review, in the absence of dialogue, our attention is drawn to nonverbal communication, where someone looks, how a head turns, how someone stands or walks around a room, how near someone gets to someone else. That sense of awareness is heightened even more in this movie, for the audience and for the characters, because of the romantic tension. There are some great moments between these two in which there is nothing spoken, but there's so much communicated just with their eyes. The eyes speak volumes. The grandfather as well, played by Michel Galabru, doesn't say a whole lot, but there's one moment in particular when he looks, and there's so much conveyed in that piercing gaze, he doesn't have to say anything. Overall, I found this adaptation emotionally engaging in a way that differed from the other movie. That expansion of the plot and the development of certain characters and the way those characters were portrayed added new levels of interest in its favor. There are some beautifully done scenes, and I found the last half hour or so very moving. There are a couple heartbreaking moments, and not just of the sad love story variety, there's more than just that. But, of course, the bittersweet, unspoken, if only, is significant. So those are my thoughts on the 2004 version of Le Silence de la Mer. I hope my French pronunciation wasn't too awful. I liked both movies. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. They each have their strengths. I like them in different ways for different reasons. I would recommend both. I have gotten my hands on an English translation of the original story. I'm going to read it and do a little review and story-movie comparison with it, so I hope you'll stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching! Bye!